After a life of being the queen bee of people pleasers, it has become my mission to help myself and you be as us as we possibly can be. And through that, create the life and business of your dreams. Welcome to the Audacity with Sarah Plowman. Hello, my icons. How are you doing today? I am going to tell you the truth. I am feeling anxious. And so I thought, let's record a podcast episode about how I'm feeling and what I'm doing about it, because I am finding it so helpful and I know that you will too. And before we dive in, I'm going to share with you like what this experience of anxiety is like for me right now in my body and what I'm doing about it. I've kind of distilled it down to this like 4 or 5 step process that has been insanely helpful for me, and I trust it will be helpful for you. I want you to take what serves you and leave the rest. But before we dive into that, I first just want to get meta for a moment, because I know a lot of you who are listening are coaches and you run a coaching business. And one of the questions I get asked all the time, in fact, I'm coaching one of my clients in Telegram today on this very topic, is how do I show up and run my business when I'm not feeling fully embodied? And this is a really great question to ask. And in fact, I will probably record a whole podcast episode on this. But for now, what I want to tell you is that you get to be a human and you get to have human experiences. And when you drop the shame around whatever it is you're going through, it actually becomes such a gift to you and to your clients and to the people around you. So I'm feeling anxiety right now, and I could feel shame or embarrassment about that. I could not talk about it. I could try to hide that from the world. I could hide that from you guys. I certainly didn't have to talk about it today on the episode of this podcast, but I'm not ashamed that I feel this way. And I know that if I'm feeling this way, that there are other people who feel this way too. And my main job is to love myself unconditionally and to be as me as I can be. And the truth of the matter is that this is me right now. So why should I feel ashamed about it? And going back to, the new title of the podcast and this theme in my life and my business of being audacious, it is the most audacious thing that we can do to love ourselves unconditionally, to accept ourselves for who we are, what we're going through, and not feel shame about it. So because I'm not shaming myself about how I'm feeling, I'm able to take better care of myself. And because I'm not shaming myself for how I'm feeling, I'm able to use my experience in service to all of you. There is something that I'm going to say today that is exactly what you need to hear. And I don't need to know what that is or how that could possibly be true. But I do know that I am always enough and I am always in a perfect place to be of service to other people. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to force yourself to go out and create content or help someone else when you need to prioritize yourself. You'll know the difference between, okay, I just need to not post today, or I need to not talk about this. I need to protect myself. I need to heal. I need to grieve. I need to be with myself, whatever that looks like, versus, okay, I'm safe to feel this. And also, I don't need to feel embarrassment. I don't need to feel shame about it. And I can talk about it. I can share what I'm doing that's helping me and know that it's going to help somebody else. So take this as your reminder that there's nothing wrong with you, that whatever you're going through, I guarantee you someone else is too. And if you feel called to share your experience, if you feel called to walk other people through what you're going through, it is going to help other people. You can also do this without sharing your personal story, right? I could come on here today and I could record a podcast about anxiety and not talk about myself. So there are so many different ways that you can do this, but I love sharing my life. I love sharing stories, and there are certainly details that I'm not going to go into today. I know where my line is, where my boundaries are of what I want to talk about and what I don't want to talk about, when I want to talk about things and when I don't. So just trust yourself to make all of those decisions. Okay? If you are going through it, I guarantee you someone else is too, and they would really benefit from hearing your experience and hearing your thoughts about what you're going through. So let's talk about anxiety. The anxiety that I'm feeling right now is interesting because it's different than anxiety I've experienced in the past, I would say, like, do I think I'm an anxious person? I definitely feel like anxiety is a normal passenger in my vehicle of life, for sure. But it's been very acute over the last couple of weeks, and it feels like very much like my body is experiencing anxiety. It's not that there are things going wrong in my life. In fact, a lot of things are going really well in my life, a lot of really exciting things, a lot of really just very happy. But I have this anxiety in my body is the best way that I can describe it. And it's unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And it's sometimes waking me up in the night or in the morning in like cold sweats and this feeling of panic. And I keep feeling like my body itself wants to scream. Like I just need to scream to release some of the pressure that's building up inside my body. It's very weird. I have some inclinations of why this is happening and what's going on. I've been doing a lot of like energy healing recently, and I was going in true Sarah fashion, like going pretty hardcore, like, yeah, let's heal more, let's heal faster. And I a little bit get the sense that it's kicked up like a lot of energy. There's a lot of stuff purging and detoxing right now, and it's happening like too quickly, like at a rate faster than what my body can handle. So I'm feeling this like panic in my body. I also have had these like crazy breakouts of my acne recently. So it's just been a lot of purging. So I've kind of taken a step back from everything, from all of the healing work that I was doing. I canceled a ton of appointments and I'm just letting myself be. I'm also, reaching out to my people. I have my mentors. I have my sister who has a lot of experience with this. So I'm letting myself be. I'm also reaching out for help when I need it. That seems to be helping. And we've reached this point of like, okay, I can handle this and like processing everything that's happening in my body. And I went for a walk this morning and I was like, okay, I definitely like am getting more frequent glimpses of feeling in control and okay, which is such a relief after these last couple of weeks. And a couple of weeks of feeling anxiety or panic is not necessarily a long time, but when you're in it, it feels like time moves like molasses. So the last couple of weeks have just felt like an eternity going through this feeling in my body. So I am just really grateful and appreciative of having these glimpses of relief and of feeling better and of feeling like myself again. So I want to talk to you today about the steps that I have taken to help move me through this challenging time of intense anxiety and panic. So the first thing that I do as often as I need to is when that feeling comes up, I tell myself, I don't feel okay right now, but I am okay. It's very easy when you're feeling an intense emotion, sensations in your body, to be afraid of them, to think that something has gone wrong. We in my family tend to be a little bit of hypochondriacs. So my brain wants to go to the worst case scenario. Like I'm having this panic because I have a tumor on my brain, or, oh, I'm actually having a heart attack and dying right now. I wouldn't say those thoughts are too frequent for me, but they have been coming up more often in the last couple of weeks. And then when I'm already feeling these intense physical sensations, and then I add that fear on top of it, it's like the train is off the rails. Like forget it at that point. I feel absolutely out of control when I go down that fear spiral. So I'm attempting to nip that in the bud and just let myself cleanly feel the panic or the anxiety that I'm feeling without adding fear onto it. So for me, that looks like dropping into my body and saying, Sarah, you don't feel okay right now, but you are okay. You don't feel safe right now, but you are safe. Okay. That simple sentence is very, very effective. I don't feel okay right now, but I know I am okay. The next thing that I do is I bring myself into nature. So I was feeling very overstimulated, very panicky the other day. And so I turned my phone off. I had the kids this day, so I like could not be with my kids, but there was like a lot of stimulation. I also found that I was wanting to distract myself a lot by being on my phone. Like I spent a lot of time scrolling the internet that day, and all of it felt good in the moment, like I was escaping my discomfort, but it actually was making the panic and anxiety worse. So I needed to disconnect from everything and connect to myself and the present moment. Okay. So I first told myself, I don't feel okay right now, but I am okay. Then I put the kids in the car and we went to one of our favorite parks that we have not been to in maybe 2 years. It just reopened for the spring. And it's this beautiful, it's right in the heart of the city, but they like built a mini woodscape, like a landscape into this tiny little park, but you literally feel like you are in the woods at this park and it's all fenced in. There's like one gateway and then the whole park feels like you're running through the woods, but it's surrounded by a fence. There's a little wading pool. It is so beautiful and peaceful. I sent my kids in there and I knew that they could just go off and do their thing for the next hour and I didn't have to worry about them. They were completely safe. So they made friends. They were playing tag. They had an absolute blast. And right outside this park is a massive green lawn. And there are several fountains surrounding this park. So most of what I could hear were the birds chirping. I could feel the grass under me and I could hear water running. And especially as a water sign, I'm a Cancer, that was incredibly soothing to me. If I don't go into nature, I live right near a river that borders Philadelphia. And so I can walk along the river and just be near the water. So I know that that really helps me. So I went to this park and I didn't even bring a blanket. I sat in the grass. I took my shoes off and I put my feet on the earth, on the grass, and I just grounded myself. I don't feel okay, but I am okay. Disconnect from all of the noise and go sit in nature and just be present. So that's what I did. And I just closed my eyes and I just breathed. And I didn't even have any agenda. I didn't do any breath work. I wasn't trying to meditate. I was just being. When is the last time you just let yourself be? It is absolutely insane. Once we prioritize that, we realize like I carve out time to just be fully present in my body and let myself exist. Again, without like, oh, let me put on this meditation. Let me pay attention to my breath. Let me try to make my mind not wander. It's actually crazy how infrequently we do this. So I just let myself sit there in the grass and be. And then I did bring a journal and I thought, after being for a few moments, I felt the urge to journal. So I did a big brain dump and that was really helpful too. Okay. So we have told ourselves we don't feel okay, but we are okay. We have disconnected from the noise. We have reconnected with the earth, with the grass, with our bodies. And now we're going to go in a direction that maybe you didn't see coming. I truly believe this is the source of all anxiety. And I am more convinced today after the last couple of weeks that I've had, this is true, 100%. So what you want to do next is you want to identify what it is that you want. Because I believe, this is my big idea for today, that anxiety is simply a byproduct of you being out of alignment with what you want. And because we're so disconnected from ourselves, we don't see that so clearly at first. It doesn't feel like that could possibly be it, or that's what's causing the anxiety. But I believe that anxiety is the gap between what we want and what we're actually giving to ourselves. And it's just also crazy to me that like this is my job, this is what I teach, this is like literally why I show up every day, and I still have to do this work. Okay, so also side note, let's get meta here again. Don't ever shame yourself. You are your own first client. The reason you're doing what you're doing is because you need this work too. So my job is to constantly identify what it is I want and give it to myself. And I slip out of that sometimes. And it's not even intentional. Like sometimes life just happens and you make decisions and you get caught up in this trap of like, I made the decision, now I have to follow through it. Because I decided this a week ago, or because I decided this 2 months ago, or 6 months ago, or 10 years ago, I still have to do this thing. I get caught up in that story all of the time still. So I have made some decisions in the last couple weeks and the last couple months. And after disconnecting from the noise and then reconnecting with myself and with the earth, I had this realization. Oh my God, I think I'm changing my mind about some things. And some of them are big and some of them are not big. Some of them are not big at all. Some of them are actually pretty insignificant and pretty easy. Like, don't take a lot of me feeling my emotions in order to change my mind. Like, oh, I booked a bunch of these appointments and actually I don't want to go to them, so I'm going to cancel them. Like, including with like physicians or estheticians that I've never even met before, like really low stakes decisions. But I was feeling trapped because I decided that I was going to do this thing. I decided I was going to put myself down this path. And so, God damn it, I have to go down this path. When no, I don't. Like, you get to change your mind whenever you want to, just because you want to. And that, my friends, is your audacious reminder for today. So we've reconnected to ourselves after disconnecting from all the noise. Now we need to look at, what is it that you want? I had this moment recently. It happened to be when I was on a call with my coach, and I was feeling so exasperated. And the words came out of me in this rush of almost anger and frustration. And I said to her, all I want to do is go for walks, hang out with my man, be with my clients, and be with my kids. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. I want to run my business, be with my man, be with my kids, and go for walks and put together pretty outfits. That is all I want to do. And I said it like with this frustration, as if the next sentence was, but I can't do that. That's all I want, but I can't have what I want. That was the energy that I blurted out this sentence with. And she looks at me and she's like, then just do that. And that one sentence stopped me in my tracks. I knew what I wanted. It was right there inside of me. So why did her saying that, then just do what you want, stop me in my tracks? Because the very next sentence that came up was, well, I can't. And what would they think about me? So immediately I was telling myself I couldn't have what I wanted. And also immediately I was thinking about how people might judge me, what people might think of me if I just did what I want. And I even had certain people pop into my head, right? We all have examples of this, like these real life people that we know. Sometimes they're people that are close to us or that we have relationships with, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're like just people that we know of who are watching us on Instagram, for example, people that we might not even have a really close relationship with, but we're for some reason really afraid of their judgment. So that's what flooded into my mind in that moment. If I give myself what I want, a summer of just taking walks and being with my man and being with my kids and running my business, being with my clients, what will these people think about me? Who the fuck do I think I am to have such a simple life? It's not even that simple in a bad way. It felt very indulgent. It felt so indulgent to be like, no, I'm not going to be busy. That's what came up. Like, I don't want to be busy. I just want to do these simple things that bring me pleasure and nothing else. And I had this rush of shame and fear come up. Like, who the fuck do you think you are to get to live such a simple, non-busy life? And what will he think of you? What will she think of you? What will they think of you? That was so fascinating. And I realized in that moment, okay, so much of this anxiety is coming from the gap between what I want right now, but what I'm actually doing, because I'm telling myself that I have to be doing it because I said I would, or because I'm worried about what other people will think about me. It's that simple. The root of my anxiety is all in that very flourishing plant in my life right now. What are people going to think about me, and who the fuck do I think I am? So what do we do with this then? Okay, that's nice. But now the feelings are still there, right? That these people might judge us. We might judge ourselves. And that's really what you have to understand, is when you're afraid of other people judging you, that really is a reflection of where you are still judging yourself. Because if someone criticizes you in an area where you feel rock solid and like really confident, it's just not going to land. Like for me, I am so fucking confident about how I dress. Like I love every single outfit that I put together, and I think I am so hot and so amazing, and I feel like $1,000,000 every time I walk out of my house. And there is nothing that anyone can say to me to convince me otherwise. Like truly, there's no comment that I could get that would even ring true a little bit, because of how I feel about myself and my outfits. But there are other areas of my life where I do have some doubt, where I do have some uncertainty, uncertainty, where I do have some insecurities. And if someone criticized me in those areas, it's not that their criticism is more true. It's just that I'm more receptive to it, right? Think about it. If you put all the criticisms of any possible category, like they're all on the same level. You could criticize one about how they dress, about their parenting, about their business, about their home decor. Like you have categories like this in your life and you know which ones. Like it would not faze me in the least versus, oh yeah, that one would sting. All that is an indication of where you are still criticizing yourself. So really, before we get into the conversation of how do we not care what other people are going to think about us, the real question that we have to ask is, how do we stop judging ourselves, right? We're so afraid of other people judging us, and we want to be like one of these people or these coaches or these content creators who just doesn't care what other people think. One, you're going to be human. It's impossible to not ever have emotions again, including being embarrassed or feeling judged. So I don't think there's any cure for that. But two, you don't have control over other people and what they say to you and their opinions of you. The only thing you have control over is your opinion about yourself. So rather than worrying about trying to control other people, let's just put all of that energy into us and forming our own opinion about ourselves, worrying more about why am I judging myself for this thing rather than why are other people judging me for it, or how can I get them to stop judging me, or any worrying about anything about anyone else. Just you. That's all you have to focus on is, where am I still judging myself? Where am I not giving myself permission to unconditionally love and accept myself? And what emotions do I have to feel in order to do that? Okay, so that's the next step to helping us cure this anxiety that we're feeling. So we've now identified what we want. And coming up behind that are all of the insecurities and all of the fears about why we can't have that. All of the reasons, maybe our own manuals, our own judgments of ourselves, and also fear of what other people are going to think. So the next thing that we have to do is ask ourselves, what emotion, what discomfort do I have to let myself feel in order to give myself what I want? Okay, what discomfort do I have to let myself feel in order to get what I want? And it might be discomfort from your own thoughts. It might be discomfort because of what you think someone else is going to think about you. So you might have to say, okay, I have to allow myself to feel embarrassed. I have to allow myself to feel lazy, right? One of the thoughts that came up for me is someone in my life who has a tendency, when things are going well for me or when I'm sharing something like nice about my life or exciting, they say to me, well, that must be nice, sarcastically. That's nice for you. Right? Like, you're so lucky or you're so special, Sarah, that you get to have this kind of life while the rest of us are over here, like suffering and schlepping through life. We don't have it as easy or as good as you. And that is like a knife to my heart, because one of my big fears is that people are going to think that I think I'm better than them. I have carried this fear around my entire life. And I think it stems from my really high opinion of myself that I have had since I was born. And I would argue we all have. We were all born knowing that we were worthy. We were all born not self-conscious, like enough and loved. And it was only after trauma and becoming self-conscious, like developing awareness and other people's influence over us, whether our caretakers, culture, society, that we start to think that we are not enough. We start to criticize ourselves and we start to worry about what other people think of us. So I have always had this really high opinion of myself. And then over the years, it's become this fear that what if people think that I think I'm better than them? And I don't. I love people. I don't think I'm better than anyone else. And for most of my life, those two things were at odds. I couldn't love myself honestly and fully out loud. I wouldn't allow myself to, because of how afraid I was at how that would be perceived. And it was only in the last couple of years that I realized, first of all, I'm being so inauthentic to not love myself out loud. And why would I not? Like, I'm the biggest champion of my friends, the people I love. I am the biggest cheerleader, and I love so unconditionally and so hard. It is one of my greatest gifts, how unconditionally loving I am, but I won't give that to myself. I realize, like, come on, that's a fucking joke that I can't give that to myself. So I'm going to give that to myself out loud, unapologetically. I am going to let the world know how awesome I think I am. And then something magical happened. It only increased my ability to love other people. It actually helped my heart grow several sizes. Like the Grinch, when he had his breakthrough and his heart grew 3 sizes, like that's what happened to my heart. I already had such a deep capacity to love, and it only grew by, first and foremost, loving myself unapologetically. So that was a game changer for me. But that little voice inside my head, that fear of, oh, people might think that you think you're better than them, is still there, right? That's a well-worn neural pathway that spent a lifetime embedding itself in my brain. So going back to this question of what discomfort do I have to allow to be authentic, to give myself what I want? For me, in this example, I have to allow the feeling that people might think I'm better than them. I have to allow that I can't control that, and that people might think, damn, Sarah is arrogant. She's full of herself. She thinks that she's better than me. She doesn't care about me. And all of those things are devastating to me because none of them are true. But I have to allow that someone else might think them. I have to allow, ooh, this is a good one. I have to allow people to misunderstand me. This comes up all the time. Yeah, I'm just sitting in the knowing right now in this moment of like how challenging that is for us as humans. I did a podcast episode about this last year, and it is still my most downloaded podcast. It's called, Oh Lord, Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. It's like the title of some 60s song, but it's so true. We are so terrified of being misunderstood because then we think that maybe we've been wrong about ourselves. And if someone else has this opinion of me, maybe they're right about me, because we're so used to seeking authority outside of ourselves. So you have to have, my friend, the audacity to know who you are, to know what's true about yourself, and to let that be true even when other people misunderstand you. So you have to ask yourself, okay, I've now identified the gap between what I want and what I'm giving to myself, and only I can close that gap. And in that gap, a whole lot of anxiety is coming up. So I'm going to solve for that anxiety by closing that gap. I'm going to be honest with myself about what I want, and then I'm going to give it to myself. And in order to give it to myself, I have to allow for some discomfort to be experienced. Oftentimes, when we go to give ourselves what we want, we think that we have to tap into these quote unquote positive feelings like confidence and feeling like a badass and feeling invincible and unstoppable and feeling like an icon, right? Like oftentimes when I ask my clients, what would you have to feel in order to do that thing that you just said you wanted to do? That's what they say. Well, I'd have to feel confident, but that's not actually what I'm getting at, which is true. Like you have to be able to tap into some kind of confidence or some kind of like something, let's call it a positive or an empowered emotion in order to take that action. But before you can do that, or I would even argue in order to do that, you have to allow yourself to feel some discomfort. Because if you don't allow yourself to feel that discomfort and aren't honest about what it is, then it's either not going to work when you try to force yourself to feel confident, because that's not really how you feel, or it's going to feel like gaslighting, right? Have you experienced this where you're trying to trick yourself into, or you're trying to fake it till you make it? And yeah, sometimes that works. But when it doesn't, this is why, because it's not fully authentic to who you are in this moment. In this moment, what is authentic is that I have to feel misunderstood by the people in my life, or I have to let them feel like I'm a bitch, or I have to let them feel like I don't care about them, like I'm self-serving, like I'm selfish. And I have to be willing to feel that without making it true about myself. So can you do that? Can you say, yeah, some people might think these things about me, but I know who I am, no matter what they think about me, no matter what they say about me, no matter what they say to me, I know who I am and I love myself, and my job is to know what I want and to give it to myself. And when you are living your life in alignment with your desires, you will feel anxiety way less of the time. And when you do feel that anxiety rise up, because you're a human and no one should ever sell you on here's how to never feel anxiety again. So please do not misunderstand me that that's what I'm saying. This is why I started this podcast episode with saying, I don't feel okay, but I am okay. It's okay to experience anxiety. Your emotions are experiences to have, not problems to solve. But if we indulge in those emotions, they can side rail us from what we're wanting to create in our life. They can become distractions. So if you allow yourself to indulge in your emotions, indulge in anxiety, it's just going to rob you of what you could be experiencing in your business, in your love life, with your family, with yourself, right? Like you could be sitting here scrolling on TikTok because you're having an anxiety attack, or you could take yourself out on a walk and reconnect with yourself and bring yourself back to you. So it's not wrong to experience anxiety, and we're not trying to avoid that for the rest of our lives, but we are wanting to experience that emotion rather than indulge in it and be present with ourselves, not lose ourselves to that experience, so that we can keep bringing ourselves back to what is it that I want and the courage to give it to ourselves. So try these things out in your life and let me know. Let me know what you found surprising, what you found really helpful. You can drop it in a review of this podcast. You can DM me on Instagram. But I know these things have been so helpful for me. I would love to hear what is helpful for you after you try them out. And remember, you are okay. You are okay right now with whatever you're going through. And what is happening in your life is actually a gift from the universe. It's your divine curriculum, and it's happening for you right now because you have become the woman who can handle it. That's why. That's why this is here in your life. It is not an accident. It is not a punishment. It is not a consequence. It's a beautiful co-creation with the universe, and you have everything that you need to bring yourself through this moment. I love you so much, and I will see you next time.